Okay, we're back. So the idea of trying to use this foam here for a support wasn't working too well because the battery, I tried the battery in here, and what was happening was that the battery was coming too close. It was kind of tight because the power leads and the balance plug basically go right against it, so it's going to be kind of a really tight fit. So unfortunately I had to do this. So I kind of shaved a little bit of the inside of the fuselage in here. So you might see if I can try to point to it. All right, so right here, I kind of trimmed a little bit of the foam, and this way the ZOHD can fit in this area like this, and I'll show you how I got it. Let me go ahead and put this down here. I'm just hitting the camera there. So that's how it's going to fit, and that's and I think, and I've tried the lid, so if I put the lid back on here, it does shut where the pilot is, so the compartment fits in here with no problem. So we've got it close to the center of gravity. Center of gravity was somewhere right around here, in this part right here. So it's close enough to it. I feel that it is about the center of the aircraft. So now the other idea is that if I use the sticky foam on this, it'll be hard to get out if I need to get to it, because it is kind of hard to get to the servo leads. I can see them, but to try to pull them out is going to be a problem. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a Velcro on this. I'm going to put a very strong Velcro on there, hoping to keep it nice and firm, which I know it'll hold it. Sandpaper, always a good idea to sandpaper the foam on here so it gets a nice good stick on it. And then if I ever have to take it out, I'll just have to take a small little screwdriver and then just pull it out from the Velcro, and then if I need to make some changes. So far I can get to the plugs on here. So I've got my my S-Bus input right here, and then my GPS connection will be right here on top. This is it right here. So I'm gonna put the GPS somewhere. I'll figure that out once I get past that point, or up to that point. And then of course my settings, which will be the control board that actually controls the settings on it to program it. And that's this plug right here. This is the actual plug that will program the flight controller. And then usually you don't leave this on there. Some people do, but I don't. Add a little bit more weight and bounces around. So this is what I'm going to try next, and I'm going to see what it looks like after I'm done on this build. But I think this is a pretty good spot for it. It's a nice flat platform, and I think it's going to work good. I'm not going to have any problems with the battery in here where I can move it back and forth without interfering with the flight controller being in the way. So I'll be back with you again, and we're going to go ahead and try the Velcro and see how that holds up. All right, talk to you in a little bit. All right, YouTubers, we're back on the build of this Raptor F-22. So, unfortunately, the foam, my idea was to extend the foam so I can put this ZOHD flight controller and kind of have a little ledge and have it mounted there. But the problem was the battery was interfering with also the power cable from the ESC. So what I did was, because it's hard to get to the servo wires once they're plugged in, I used Velcro, and I'll show you which one I've used, which is a really strong Velcro, and it works great. I bought this from Walmart. It's industrial strength is what I bought. And I think it was about $4. These things, believe me, these things are tough. They hold very well. This one shows that there's 3 strips. They're 4-inch by 2-inch wide strips. So I cut it to the size of the flight controller. And what I did was that I, kind of shaved around some of the foam so I can fit the flight controller in there, and it looks great. And I plugged it in to see if I can see the lights, and I sure can. So I'm able to have the, this is going to be my GPS, which I'm going to mount here. I'm just going to use some double-sided tape for it. I also have everything pretty much hooked up. The receiver I'm going to stick in the front, so it's out of the way instead of having it being really cluttered there. So I'm going to have the receiver in the front. This is a FreeSky X4R receiver. And then this is the setup controller for the flight control. This is what sets up as parameters, and it's return to home, or you can have geofencing on this as well too, and we'll get to that once we get to that point setting. Right now I'm working on assembling the wings, and then and putting the elevators on, and that's what I'm doing next. So everything fits in real good. I like how it fits in here. It's nice and sturdy. It's not moving. The Velcro is holding it nice and tight because the servo cables are kind of under here. Now to get it out, you can probably take one of those glasses screwdriver or something thin and kind of just go underneath and just pick it up and just start pulling it out, and then you can pull it out with no problem. So it's not stuck in there permanently. If you have to, change a servo wire, something happens. So we're gonna put this back, and you notice it closes perfectly with no problems. We're gonna go ahead and assemble the wings on it. We're gonna start off with the wings itself, connect the servos. One thing I want you to pay attention to is the direction of, make sure that when you're hooking it up that you're matching up ground with the signal wire and power wire, because you've messed them up, you might burn up your servos. So here I can see it pulled out of here. So we're going to get one of our wings here. Let's do this one here. Okay, it does have a spar. It looks like it's a hollow, carbon fiber yeah, it's hollow. So remember, we want to make sure that we plug in the servos to the right polarities on this. If not, you're going to have some trouble. So we have right now, let's see if we're going to match it up. So the outside cable to the right is your ground. The brown cable is your brown. So let's go ahead and turn this like so. We're going to plug it in. Let's see, should go in tight, yep. And just confirm it that it is matched up. Your signal wire, power wire, and your ground. Okay, we're going to kind of tuck that in. We're going to put the spar into a hole here that's on the side, and then it's going to, and this thing doesn't need any glue, which is awesome. No glue needed on this aircraft. All you have to do is put the screws in place, and we're going to get the screws for that. There's 4 for each one of these, so we'll go ahead and turn it over. I was thinking of putting some Loctite on it, but I think we're going to be good. So let's go ahead and put it down. And there are several screws well packaged. So these larger ones with the larger heads. So we're going to go ahead and pull them out. Don't over tighten them when you put them in. They used to put in a screwdriver with the kit, but they don't have it because I think people are probably saying the screwdriver doesn't have enough strength or something. It's really cheap. So you're going to kind of put pressure on it because you want the holes to line up. And let's go ahead and screw in our first screw. I'll kind of get leverage here. I think it's probably best you just kind of push down on it so it can get nice and tight. And they seem to hold pretty tight, so I don't think Loctite would be necessary for this. And then we go to our next one. This EPO foam is seems pretty strong, but I guess you'll find out I've seen them crash and they can get tore up because the wings are thin. They really do hold well, I can tell you that right now. All right, so that's one. Let's go to the second side. Remember the polarity on there. Now, some of these wires are a little short, I noticed. So before you plug anything and get all excited and stuff, make sure that that you see really carefully that you can see the colors of the wires. And I do see brown signal wires on the left. And confirm it, just make sure you have enough lighting. And I'm just going to confirm that real quickly. So let me just put this underneath the light. It is. Okay, so the ground wire is on the right hand side. It's kind of good to hold on to it so it doesn't twist and turn and you lose those directions. So we're going to go ahead and plug it in with the servo on the bottom. Let's plug in our servo lead with the brown being the ground, signal wire on the left, power in the middle. And we're going to plug it in. A little tight here. See if I can get it kind of in the hole. I think it's just pulling it. Sometimes it's a little tough. You don't give you a lot of room for the servo, you know. There we go. So I put the spar in. Let's see if I can get it to plug in now. All right. So we got that in. Make sure it's secure. Go ahead and just push in your connection servo wire. You're going to line up those, and let's go ahead and kind of do the same thing. Trying to get leverage, it's a little hard to do this, manage it here. So do the same thing, kind of use your body for some leverage to put pressure on it to line up the holes. You just want it to have a nice tight fit so it lines up properly. So as you push down on it, use your leg, your stomach, and kind of push down, turn. They're advised probably, I don't know what size Phillips screwdriver this is, but it's a small tip. You don't want something too big because these are very small. Glad to know that these things are tight. Here's the other one. I'm doing the same thing, kind of, it's a little pressure on here, but the wing is kind of in the way. Just kind of be really careful. Okay, don't over tighten it. It does kind of stop, so there's, I don't know if you can end up breaking it unless you use a drill or something like that. Okay, so we've got our wings on place. Starting to look good. All right, so right now we can work on getting the elevators on, or tell you what, let's see. Here's our elevators. Maybe we can put on the wheels possibly, or maybe we'll do that last. These wheels, I gotta kind of look. It's even got like a door on it, so it makes it cool, like it's the real thing. You know, but they don't close. They're basically stationary. I'm gonna find out. I believe this goes in here, and then what this does is it kind of keeps it in place once I have it locked in there. It looks like it's a clip or something that holds it in. Is what it is. Let's see if that's what that is. Could be. Okay, looks like that's what that is. So we're gonna go ahead and pull it. And what it does is it holds itself in place. That's on the outside. And I'm gonna look at the instructions to confirm it. It might be that way. think they have to go in a little further is what they have to do. Yeah, I think that's what it does. All right, let's see if this is what it does. No, it's not that way. Too tight. I'll have to look at the directions on that. So we're going to go ahead and figure that out. Let's take a look at this. I thought it was going to be a really simple project. Now the instructions here are not the premium best directions for assembling this, but we can get an idea. All right, so let's take a look at where it shows the wheels. All right, so here is basically how the wheels go on. So that's on page 3 of your installation manual. So when need to repair landing gear, please refer to the following structure to assemble properly. All right, so it just shows you the parts. Attach the plastic part A, which is, let's see, part A, which are these. These are basically covers. And let's see, we're gonna go ahead and install the gears. Wires B on plastic part A. So it shows that it installs on here. So let's find out how that works. All right. Okay, it's this one here, and this goes in here like that, I guess. I see. And when you push pressure on it, I guess it holds it in place. Doesn't seem like it'd be strong enough, but okay, so it clips in. It's got a little slot in there for that. Okay, let's see if that works, doing it that way. It looks like it needs to be tight. I think it's coming along here. Oh, I see. Okay, it's not really explaining it properly, but it looks like the actual coil, it goes in front of the two extended, I'll show you once I get it put in place. Yeah, that's how it goes. So we're going to go ahead and do that without causing a problem. So what it does is that, if you notice, see these little, the square, it fits in front of these raised areas where the screw go in. So you got your right and your left. This is the door that closes. Make sure I got the right ones. That would make a big difference too. Yeah, it's right, because it's got a space in between here for this arm right here on this metal brace. And what you're going to do is that this piece here is going to hold it tight, and then you put the screws on it. It's going to have 4 screws for it. Oops, I just dropped one, and I need to find that one. Here it is. Okay. Alright, so it looks like it's got 4 screws. They're real small. Looks like these are the 4 right here. And then there's some other screws which are probably for the, let's go ahead and lay them out. 2 of these, 1 of these. Okay, so these 4 are supposed to be for this here, to hold these in place. Not much of space in there for them, but they do fit. It shows that they're fitting in there. Let's go ahead and see if we can master this. Now, the thing is that this, and it might work, I have little glasses screwdrivers that I use for screws that small. So let's try this again, see how much we can So this one here is the right side. Thing is just the weight of the wheel trying to keep this in place. Kind of a little pain in the butt. We're going to slip this in place here. Let's see here. It's not the greatest thing locking it in place, but kind of like the doors in the way. Wow. I want to make sure, I guess it doesn't fall out. Kind of a little bit unstable here, but let's see if maybe, I would think that it would actually go inside this thing here and then you just lay it on there, but it's not like that. Okay, so once you get it in there, it looks like you need to go ahead and latch it and get it in there tight. Once you get it in there, it's looks like it'll stay, but what a pain. All right, I'm gonna put you on pause for just a moment so I can figure this out real quickly, because it looks like I'm having a hard time, especially holding this in my hand the size of the plane. So I'll be back right with you. Okay, we're back. Okay, this here's what it is. So on here it says, obviously you got your left and your right. Underneath this cap that holds it in place, there is actually a direction. So it says L for left and then R for right. Even though they look the same, one of them is raised where they have this shaft where the screw actually holds its place on these raised areas where the screws go down. So that's why it wasn't snapping in place. So wheels and directions were correct, and then you have a clip that actually holds it at the top. So I actually took the door off to make it easier, but now that I see that's what it was, now we're back in business again. These tiny little screws, they give you 4 of them to put on. And go ahead and tighten this up. This one here, be careful. This one here definitely can be stripped very easily because they're very tiny. Got really fine thread on these. So after you get the screws in there, kind of hold on to it and put a little pressure on it as you're screwing it down. And that's it. Once it reaches the bottom, don't start torquing it too tight. And you're done. Okay, so that part is done. So you got your wheels on. All right, so this is basically what it looks like when it's, now when I'm setting up the flight controller, I'm going to look at to see if this is the actual center, or actually not the center, but the levelness of this. I might use basically a leveler to see if it's completely level, because once I program the flight controller, it's going to look for what is level. And once I set that, usually when you're setting that up, it tells you to raise the nose up a little bit when you're setting it up. So on this one, I'm going to probably raise it up just a tad and then set it so that it remembers what it looks like when it's level. You want to have a little bit of nose, because if not, when it flies, it's going to start flying and start being nose heavy. And it's not the center of gravity. It's just that because the flight controller thinks that that's level. All right, so we're going to go ahead and go to, let's put the elevators on. And that one has some links on it as well. So just this way, this is the wrong one. Okay, these go out here like this. Then a screw goes in. So these are going to go like this. This is the part that I kind of mentioned that you need to have about 6 to 7 millimeters between the fuselage tail, I guess right here, to where this is. There's a gap. So I've got a measuring tool for that. that you can use in millimeters to have that space in between, or you can use a ruler. It's in the millimeters. So let's go ahead and set that up, and then I'll be right back with you. This is RC Tech Profiling again. We come back, we finally completed our project with the F-22 Raptor Jet. This is the 4S version, and what we did was we did put the ZOHD co-pilot in the area that I felt was going to work. There's the GPS module right on the top. I hot glued that, and I'm going to be using on a maiden flight a 2200 4S at 50C discharge battery. I put my receiver in the front. I've got that velcroed, and I've got the antennas. I pulled it off one of my planes, which had some sticks, and I just kept them on there and kind of hot glued it to just keep it firm in there. So this is pretty much what we got as far as our plane. The wheels, they are pre-mounted wheels. They're not retracting at all. So we are going to give it a shot tomorrow if the weather permits, and we'll see what happens with this on our maiden flight. I did all my adjustments on it so that this way we've got our manual mode, and then we have our stabilized mode, which we'll see what happens. I may have to take off in manual mode and then switch over to stabilized mode so that I can take full control of it. I want to be able to get a nice lift off of it on a runway. So this is pretty much a nice airplane. It was fun putting together, and we'll see how it flies, and then we'll get to show you some videos on the completion of the maiden flight of this aircraft, and we'll see how it